Hello, hello, hello. This is Truth Be Told. This is Dr. Walter Aka.
Hey, and this is Leroy Horton.
And this is Dr. Bbay here. Um, a little bit about myself is
Well,
I'm
yeah.
current. Oh, yeah,
No. I was
yeah,
gonna say,
yeah,
I was gonna
yeah.
say, I want to have the pleasure of kind of bringing you on,
All right, cool, cool,
as
cool.
somebody who's known you for a while and just kind of
Yeah,
seen the transformation that you're not just, one thing that we talk about in this podcast is we're just tired of doing the same old, oh, this doctor does this and this doc. We are going
yeah,
completely different. We're trying to get something unique. We want people to understand that dentists are people too, right?
yeah,
We
for
want them to
sure, for
understand
sure.
that there's a whole other avenue to them. And you are literally, I mean, you're coming off the left field. You are not
Hmm.
only a dentist, you're also a music star. If you go on your
Nice.
Instagram, you basically have some music going. You got some, yeah. I mean, you're an artist. You're an artist. So we wanted to kind of, we wanted to bring you on to basically tell us how you got into this whole entire situation, what happened. But the first thing I want to do is I want to actually read a quote to you, which I think kind of
Okay,
sums up something and puts a light on dentistry in general. Okay, and it basically is
hmm,
from the Voyage, Houston. It's an article that they kind of put out about you, right? And
hmm.
and you basically said that you were inspired to do dentistry due to the lack of African American representation in the field.
Yeah,
But then here's the
yeah,
part, and then it says, and the institutional racism you faced while working in corporate dentistry.
yeah,
That struck me.
yeah.
So I want you to break that down and explain to us what you meant by that.
Oh, okay. So first of all, thank you guys for having me on this podcast. Um, Going back to that, when I talked about the lack of my race in the healthcare, is I grew up, I didn't even know what a dentist was. I'd never been to a dentist. If I could recall, anytime that I did go to somewhere like a dentist, it was somebody of a white male figure, but nobody of my color. So that's why dentistry never really struck me until I went and did my own research looking into healthcare. So that was one of the reasons of me wanting to pursue something that I know that a lot of people within my own circle and environment don't have access to, one, or even know what all goes with the oral health. So, and I didn't know, so it was very fascinating rather than just going to be a physician and so on. um so fast forward to that. On the main reason, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I'm gonna keep it 100. On the main reason why I chose dentistry is because what happened was I was at a crossroad of I wanted to be a pharmacist, but then I started taking courses and pharmacy was boring, one, and then they had a whole bunch of uh chemistry courses, classes and stuff. Like you had to take biocal, but I say, you know what? Nah, this ain't for me. So I was like, I went on Google, looked for different other healthcare apart from physicians, and dentistry popped up, and it was like, oh, they making 120K or whatever. I'm like, what? Like you making 100K just to clean teeth and maybe pull teeth? Oh, I could do that all day. You know what I'm saying? Me and being so naive, that's all I thought it was. To dentistry, I was like, oh yeah, I could do that all day. So that was on the driving factor. But um, going to the second point of the institutional racism in the corporate field is, after graduating from Howard College of Dentistry, and I worked for like about a year and a half to 2 years, with different big corporate practices. Yeah. And you know that you coming out, you have to get your feet wet. You got to prove yourself in order for you to be in a position to, own or whatever. So I felt like I did do everything that I needed to do to put myself in position, whether it's like helping them open different offices in different states, different areas within one state. So I thought I earned the opportunity to, buy into a practice that I was sent to fully open up from scratch, build up, and now we're, doing out of all the practices, we're number two, and all the other practices been there for like a year, 2 years, for some 3 years, and they were still not breaking even. So I saw that, I was like, okay, cool. Like, I done my part. I didn't, checked off all the mark, everything. So now, hey, it's time for me to own. That conversation came up, and it deals with a lot of things. One is, yeah, obviously I believe, race is a factor, because if you look at the ownership landscape in that corporate field, it's not a lot of, minority owners, one. And two is like they kind of like look at the younger people as like, they don't take you seriously, as they would take their older counterparts, and they just feel like, to them, they felt like I was I wasn't that built. They want somebody who maybe is a certain age, a certain thing, don't have too much relationship with their staff, as far as like, their dental assistants, all that stuff. But I ran this differently. I had my own style of doing things, which worked, but I guess it didn't fit their uh their liking. So after that, I was like, I didn't really fight it. It was just like God telling me like, hey, I have something big for you. So I took that to the chin, and I decided to like step out in faith and go ahead and open my own practice. And by the grace of God, everything's been Gucci after that. You feel me?
So you're saying the
Yeah.
institutional racism part was you basically built up their office for them. You were number 2 in the region for production,
Yeah.
and they didn't even want to talk to you about ownership, which they would
Yeah,
have
it was.
if you were somebody else.
Oh yeah, we know, because at least somebody like me, I'm well versed with everything that's going on in the company, any company I'm working on. So,
Mhm.
company that big, they have different offices, some Texas, all over the world. So I literally know people, or I would have people that that work on the higher end. They'll just tell me like, this person just graduated, but because they know so and so, they got 2 practices, you know, so a lot of people, when they tell you, it's the one thing that they tell you, okay, this is the road, but then you see other people not, accomplishing and just getting, basically like gifted certain opportunities. It rubs you the wrong way. So, once I tried everything, I did everything in my power to make sure like, hey, I checked up all the boxes and stuff. And when it came time to do that business, it was just always a runaround. So yeah, it was definitely something that wasn't fair to someone in my situation, but and that's something that really happens in this world, and I wasn't really too shocked that it happened. You feel me?
So did they lead you to believe that there were opportunities kind of as a carrot to kind of keep you working
Yeah.
hard, keep you building? And then what did that conversation look like when you finally sat someone down and said, "All right, boss, I'm ready. I've done the work. I'm ready." How did they respond?
Yeah. So so what was the question you just asked me prior to that?
No, I was just talking about the institutional racism
No,
and how
I'm
you
talking
were.
about him. He
Oh,
asked a question prior to that last question. What was it again?
Oh, did they lead you on? Did they make you think in the
Okay.
beginning that there was all this
Hmm.
opportunity specifically for you, only to
Yeah.
keep dangling it further and further away?
Yeah, yeah, no, no, for sure. It was a wild case, because what happened was I was working with one corporate, numbers and everything was doing good with the first corporate, but I wanted a broader opportunity. I wanted to get better, surgically and stuff. And Dr. Aka will know, because that first practice I was with, saying he would be coming in and out from there. And I told him specifically, I was like, man, I need to go ahead and increase my surgical skills. I want to place more implants. I want to do all that stuff. So then that second opportunity came, and obviously they tell you, hey, we anything you want to do, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. You're gonna allow you to own after a year or after a certain time, all this stuff. So the main thing, and this is what happens where a lot of people don't know. They think everything, like when corporate says something, that's the way it's gonna go.
mm.
9 out of 10 times, they might not even know what, or they might be 50-50. They just telling you what it is to get you over. So initially, they told me I was supposed to go to Victoria, Texas, right, and take over an office that was productive or whatever. The doctor there was just leaving. They tired. They want to go move back to the city. I was like, all right, cool. I'm young. I'm grinding. I go over there. Doctor decided to change her mind last minute. So now they up in a limbo. Like, what should we do with Doc here? So then they transfer me to Port Arthur. Um, I started running that practice because the doctor over there left for Dallas. So I took over that practice. Started doing real well. So they was like, okay, cool. You're doing, this office is doing good. We see what you're doing. this opportunity to go to Conroe and open up a brand new practice, you know, from scratch. And I never did nothing like that. So I was like, oh, that's a challenge, you know, being able to, day one, you being the person, seeing everything go from up and down. And that's why I took that opportunity, went over to Conroe, and we ran that from the first 6 months. You know, the first couple of, you know, months is slow or whatever, but after that, 6 to 8 months, like we were busting, like, you know, and I won't say we were doing big numbers, but compared to other offices that around us, and I because, you know, you always get the rankings and stuff, you know, we were doing pretty good for a new office, you know. So, you know, that's when that conversation came up. So we sat down, and I told them, you know, I took all the courses that they recommended, because they had their own CEs, their ownership courses. I did everything. So it was like, hey, I'm interested in owning this office. Like, what, you know, what's going on? And it'll be a runaround until I finally, like, literally tell them, like, hey, you know, what's going on? So they decided to come up with a whole new system where they wanted doctors in a certain region to own, you know, like multiple offices in that region or whatever, you know. So the doctor that was in Victoria was now first in line to own the practice that I was at, you know, in Conroe. And I was like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? This the person, you know, I was like, you know what? All right, cool, whatever. You know, at first I'm like, okay, let me play it around, because I knew things happened. And then what happened was the doctor backed out because, you know, money issues, and then they had on a doctor on the list, and so they kept on going back and forth, where they had these candidates that weren't even 100% sure that they wanted to own this office. Where you had somebody in the office that's ready to take over and willing to, you know, go that route. And they just wouldn't really pay no mind. I guess, you know, again, they was just looking at it from, oh, he's young, whatever reason it might be, they just wasn't going for it. So then I know I had to start making my exit. You know, I had to start figuring out what was going to be my other plan, what's my course of actions, and then that's when I started looking into opening my own practice. So when I finally told them, literally, hey, that I'm gonna have to leave, you know, obviously they try to throw you perks and all that stuff, but, you know, mine's made up. Then I'm a W-2 person. I'm getting taxed stupid crazy already, and I'm trying to increase my earnings and stuff, and, you know, you just want me to be in this little puppet employee types, and that was just wasn't me. So I let them know. The day I let them know, I let my associate know that I was training with me. He found out I was leaving. He went on and left first. You know? He left first, you know what I'm saying? And then so I left after him, and then ever since then, even I was talking to some of the workers, you know, that was still cool, and they tell me, like, even till now, like, that office is not, it's looking for temporary doctors to fill in the space and all that stuff. So it's not really doing well. So it just shows, like, you know, I don't know, whatever people, whatever their egos or whatever, ended up coming back to haunt them or whatever. So
right. So
don't you think it's funny how they really feel like we don't see the game? Right.
They do.
And you've effectively, even in this first couple minutes, have ruled out every other potential reason. Or is it because I'm young? Oh,
Yeah.
well, that owner's young.
Yeah.
Is it because I'm new? Oh, that owner. Like, you go down that list and you beat every candidate, but still you're not up. It's not your time at bat. You know what I'm saying? I feel you.
Yeah.
It wasn't more about people who were doing the work. I think it's more about who they really liked, or who, you know what I'm saying, like the favor, like, you know what I'm saying. So
who they felt comfortable with, who fit in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you basically got out of there. And one thing that a lot of people need to understand, and this is going to kind of explain your full story here, is you were born in Nigeria, raised in Houston, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes,
and
sir.
So we have to talk about the whole Nigerian aspect, the whole culture aspect associated with that. But
Yeah.
you basically built your practice. You got out of there, opened your own practice, because that's when I started noticing that you really started building up your social media. Once that practice opened is when you really dug in deep on that. Can you explain to me what the concept, what your thought process was with trying to really build up the social media? And then we'll get to the music aspect of it. But you opened your practice, then you built the social media, and then you really started, you know, kind of falling into the whole culture aspect of being Nigerian, living in Houston.
Yeah. You know, even going back to that, you know, coming from Nigeria, being born there, coming to the States, you know, we come here with a chip on our shoulder already, you know, because one is, you know, you still have people back home that will want to be in your position. So you're like, oh, you have to succeed. So we already born with that nature of like, hey, we're gonna do whatever we have to do to succeed here and make sure we make our people proud who, you know, work their tails off to bring us here. So going forward to me, you know, leaving and opening my practice, and you know, everything is a lot of this stuff are like, you know, you never, however you tended it to start, it's never how it's gonna end up being. So going over my practice, I remember DMing a popular Twitter handle dude who talks about like business of dentistry or whatever. I offered to pay him, you know, a certain amount of money for his for maybe 30 minutes of, you know, just picking his brain and everything. So he agreed. So we spent on the phone about 30 minutes to an hour, taking notes. And, you know, I was like, okay, cool. Like I started reading books, you know, because, you know, everything that you really need to know is going to be in those books, you know. So I started reading books about practice ownership, being able to lead and all that stuff. So I was working my way, building up that confidence for me to go out and actually take this big leap, because it is a freaking big leap. So the guy that I asked for his time or whatever, he ended up really liking me, right? So they own multiple practices in Jersey, you know, Philly and all that stuff. So they wanted to break into the Houston market. So the goal was for them to come into the Houston market, you know, open up 4 to 5 practices, you know what I'm saying? I have my main office, but then I ask like the managing director for all the other offices, and kind of like, you know, like a little mini, you know, corporate, you know, here in Houston in a way. So that you know, I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. You know, we get into the process, everything going good. And mind you, they have a lot of the capital, you know, and so they're doing all like, you know, the negotiation or whatever. To fast forward, we get to, you know, we finally pick out a building, a place for us to go. And literally maybe like a week before we are supposed to close at that office or whatever, I got a call on vacation. They was like, oh yeah, hey doc, we're gonna have to pull out, unfortunately, because
Oh God.
yeah, because the situation happened with their practices in Philly and stuff, and they can't afford to you know, kind of spend more capital over here and try. It's gonna cost a lot of money, whatever. So I was like, damn, like, you know, we didn't did all this work, got this far, LLCs, everything is forged, and now it's like right before. And I'm thinking everything was cool, so I'm not saving no capital. You know, I'm not really
You're
like
on vacation.
money.
You're on
Yeah,
vacation.
You're on
exactly.
vacation.
I'm not money pinching. You know, I'm on vacation with my girl. So it's like, so when I got that call, I was like, what the hell? So I was like, man, it was 2 options, man. And somebody during that time, man, and it said something that stuck with me. It said, hey, man, you got 2 options. Either you be bold or you fold, you know? So once they said that, I don't know what it just does something. I was like, you really do got to. And the only thing that's stopping you is that fear on the other end, you know what I'm saying? So, and then again, reading those books say, you know, fear, fear is basically, once you get over fear, then everything else is gonna be, you know what I'm saying, Gucci. Um so again, the quote that came in my head was fear, face everything and rise, or face everything and run. So it's like, what option I'm going to take? So I was like, F it, I'm going to go ahead and go that route. So I contacted the people, and they was like, hey, you know, you guys need to sign off on this real quick, or we're going to have to go to somebody else. So I was like, you know what, forget it. I pulled up money, signed a lease or whatever, not even having like a real plan of action. And then after that, that's when I went crazy. You know, that's when everything I was cut off. I stopped doing music. You know what I'm saying? I stopped doing music. It was literally eat, sleep, and breathe opening this practice. So I stopped doing music. I went full fledged and learning the business and making sure I had the right, you know, people, the lawyers, to make sure everything is good. And then I still had to like kind of remodel the office and everything. And then I knew I couldn't just do a regular job. So then I started working in the Virgin Islands. I think I remember I went to the Virgin Islands, and I worked I think I work like 1 to 2 weeks out the month. You know,
Okay, hold on. You said something that does not show up anywhere in my research. You went to the Virgin. So while you're building your office, you went and worked in the Virgin Islands. How did you even find that job?
So being coming from Howard, we have a lot of doctors, kind of all over the world.
Okay.
And it was this doctor named Dr. Jones, who's pretty successful in the islands. So he has practice in the Virgin Islands, St. Croix, all St. Kitts. They have Virgin Islands. They have like the UK islands. I don't know, whatever ones they own by the UK. So they have. So he has multiple practice everywhere. So one of my friends, she was working there. Can you hear me? Nothing like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So she was working there, and she was like, "Yeah, I think you should. This would be a good opportunity." So they were telling me about this for a little bit of while. So I was like, "Hey, if they can allow me to come in for this, maybe 1 week out the month, 2 weeks out the month, I'm not gonna be able to do full time or whatever, and because I got this office running up." So I talked to the doctor. He's really welcoming. So did all the paperwork, got certified and everything to work in the island. So what would happen was, as I'm building my office or renovating and everything, that 1 week, and mind you, I had to already hire a office manager. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't want to wait for everything to be done to then start the process of hiring or whatever. So I was like, I want to play the right game. So I hired the office manager, obviously, structure some wages or whatever. Hey, look, learn all this stuff, build all this stuff up, what I'm saying? I'm going to be out here working and I'll be back to check in and check out of you. So, so 1 2 weeks out the month, I'll go to Virgin Islands, work like a whole week, come back. And the good thing about that is, unlike the US, the Virgin Islands, pay is much better. Much better.
I would not have expected that.
Yes, look, I'm telling you. Unlike here, what happens is, first of all, if you're in the Virgin Islands, you work for the government, right? Your treatment is absolutely free. Your dental treatment is absolutely free if you're a doctor that's credentialed with the government, right? So you get patient there, you work for the government, USPS or whatever, you're 100%. The fee schedule is very, very high. So I would do like maybe that week that I would work there, I will probably make what I will make in 2 weeks, you know what I'm saying? Working corporate. I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying. Let's say I'll probably do like 4 days, you know what I'm saying? Because Friday, it's a short day. So let's say I already work 4 days out there week. That 4 days is more than 2 weeks worth pay that which you get paid here doing, So
all right. So the real question is, why do you just stay in the Virgin Islands and come visit here to have fun?
That's what they're trying.
That sounds like that's what makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, that's what they was telling me. They was like, "Hey, just stay down here, stack up your bread, and then by the time a year or two ago, you have enough capital to go and get you." But I was already committed to the game. I already signed my lease. And once I did that, I was already committed because I know, and I knew I also wanted to build something here. Saying in Houston, being around family and stuff. I wanted to. And I wanted to really build something in Houston. And the only reason I couldn't stay in Virgin Islands is because if I did, my music career would probably be non-existent. In the islands, there's not a lot of things that's readable. Like if you go into Walmart or whatever, none of that stuff are like easily accessible. So it's a lot of things that you don't have access to. So I was also thinking about my music career in my backhand because I was like, yo, this is good money, but I need to start making money to where I can now set my own schedule to do my music and also fund my music, from that perspective. So it was a whole game plan already in my head that I was like, yo, you have to stick to the game plan and go. So, did 6 months. I would say did 6 to 7 months in the Virgin Islands, and then my practice opened. So while my practice opened, the first 2 or 3 months, I was still going a week out to the Virgin Islands, a week out just so I could have some bread. And then I had to make that decision like, hey, I know the money is good, for you to go out here, but now you really got to sit here and build your practice. So This one I decided, I told the doctor, he was fine with, he was understanding. And I came back and I just started temping, temping at different offices, and while I'm still like, working through my practices and stuff. So yeah.
And what year is this?
This is 2020. So 2021 is when that whole process was going. So we officially opened the office in like May of 2022 for like the general people and everything. So so 2022 was like the real opening for like the whole world to come in and stuff. But we were seeing people here and there.
So you've mentioned your music career multiple times, right? And that's actually one of the main reasons why we brought you in here, was because of the fact that, you're a dentist, but you also have a music career.
Yeah.
Right. And so let's talk about this. And I'm going to bring this with your cultural situation. If you're anything like Ghanaians, right? We're either doctors, lawyers, engineers, right? You know those three. You know the three. And so you're a doctor. So your parents and your family's happy. You've accomplished something that they want to do. They brought you to the US. You accomplished exactly what they wanted you to accomplish. Then you said you want to also be a musician. And I don't know about you, but in my family, my parents would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah, that's dead.
So how did that whole situation happen?
So
and then how did that go over with your family? Because you said you wanted to build something for your family as well in Houston.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, man. Straight up, my parents still don't really know I really do music like that. You know what I'm saying?
So they don't have the internet. They don't have the internet.
They have the internet. They have the internet, but they really just on Facebook, right?
Right.
So and Facebook, I have my old Facebook there where I don't really post anything really. And, I do have a separate Facebook for my artist page. My parents, my dad is a pastor, so that music against that doesn't speak likely to whatever he's preaching or whatever the Bible teaches or whatever. Is just there's no if ands or buts about that. But I knew I initially was gonna go straight into music, after my bio degree, but something told me, and this is also looking at what I want to make sure I made my parents proud, what I'm saying? So that that kind of led me to like, hey, go ahead and pursue this, and you could be something different, and you could still always do what you love. So I felt like God kind of like allowed me to go through go that route, one, because now I'm so much wiser and I don't have to be out here begging for, money from the street. So begging for a record label to come pimp me or something, so yeah, so my parents, once I graduated, they understood that, I'm a grown man now. And I just let them know like, hey, I got a tattoo, So, after being a doctor, I said I got a tattoo. So, you can't trip. I did it. I did what I need to do. So, cut some slack,
I think we have to explain a lot, right? So in any African family, right? If you wear a do-rag, you're a gangster already. I remember that growing up and having you're not allowed to do that. Tattoos. So this man is breaking a lot of the cardinal rules. Like,
yeah, but I got the degree, so it kind of offsets it. That's how you do it. You gotta give them something they like, so he can balance everything out. But yeah, in all honesty, I think they do know that I do music or whatever, but it's not something that they always see get put in their faces and stuff. But they always knew me as the child that always gonna do. Respectfully do what he really wants to do, because that's just who I am. That's who I'm. That's how my drive is and stuff. So, yeah. So they don't really know the extent of how much music I'm doing and how serious I'm doing, to the point that my youngest brother right now, not the youngest one. This it's 5 boys, right? So I'm the second. The fourth one is also artist too, right under their nose. And I don't think they know.
Look what you started. Look what you started.
I know, right? He's really talented too. So that's why I always support him. If he wasn't talented, I was like, yo, end that.
That's a great message though, man. Because I feel like a lot of young men, especially Black men, they feel that if they're going to be an artist, that's all they can do. Because there's this fear of, well, if I'm not putting 110% in the artistry, then I'm cheating myself, I'm cheating the art. But the truth is, you have to be balanced. You have to have, you know, like you said, you got your degree, so you satisfied your familial expectations. It opens up a lot of avenues you can walk in that you wouldn't otherwise be able to walk in, and you're still able to do music and fund yourself if need be at this point, right? That to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally understand both sides. You know, when people say there's no plan A, I mean, there's no plan B for them or whatever. Me, I feel like everybody has a different path. You know, everybody has a different path, and I felt like, you know, it's gonna take somebody like me to kind of like open up a whole different you know, outlook on, like, you know, chasing your dream and still be able to do other things that can help you get to where you need to go. And because I ain't gonna lie to you, if I got signed about 4 or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I'll probably, you know, I probably won't be, you know, still here as far as like fundamentally good, because it was so much learning that I needed to do about and know about life and about, you know, how to operate in life, that, you know, a lot of times that if God blesses us too early, we gonna fumble that bag, you know. So looking back at it now, it's like, yo, I'm glad I never got, I'm glad I wasn't discovered, because now it's like I'm really able to craft up a certain brand and be able to give, you know, when that time comes, like give people a full product instead of just something that has no story, has no type of you know, product, or no essence in whatever they provided and stuff. So
so are you artist who happens to be a dentist, or a dentist who happens to be an artist? Does that make sense?
I would say artist, because I've been doing music. I was doing music since I'll tell you when I started, the first song that I heard, because I came here, I didn't know how to speak English, right? So, you know, a couple things that caught my eyes, it was football and hip hop, you feel me? So one of them, they were okay. Hip hop, that was a no. My parents heard that, was like, no, turn that stuff off. So I used to sneak in and listen to music and stuff. So I remember one day on the radio hearing like T.I.'s song, I like my top laid back, I like my beat down low, and my top laid back. So in that last little segment, they'll leave like the instrumental still going. So every day I used to just come on, like wait for it to come on the radio and write to that little last bit of instrumental. And so that's how I got my start. And then I've been, you know, always making music low key. Got into high school, met somebody that was able to start letting me express my stuff. So I really started taking it a little bit seriously. We did like the first high school cipher in our region, even in our state, that caught fire. A lot of high school people started doing it. Now college came, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I gotta take it up a notch. College, you know, did some in college and everything. But what happened is sometimes what I realized, what really helped me was leaving the state of Texas, you know, going to DC, because once I was able to leave my environment, my way, I was able to create somebody who I wanted to be. You see what I'm saying?
Because growing up and stuff, can you hear me? Yeah. I don't know why I think my thing died. Because growing up and stuff, you're always judged by who you were. You know, so people's like, oh, you rap? Get out of here. Like, get out of here. But if you go to DC and go to somewhere nobody really know you, and you tell them you rap, they're like, oh, okay, let me hear something, or prove to me like you're right. It's more welcoming, you know. So I was able to really now become, okay, cool. It become Dr. Bbay, you know. I really create a whole different persona. And then really started putting out more music while in dental school than anything. That kind of helped me be able to build my brand. So when I came back to Texas, I was like, oh, he ain't Bbay serious. Like, you know, this dude can actually feel it. He actually putting out music. So, you know, sometimes you got to leave where you're known and to be able to really build yourself, and then come back to the environment, and then, you know, do what you need to do. So, yeah.
All right, full disclosure. So while I was doing research, I go on your page, and I think the first song I hit was, is it Napalm?
Yeah, Napalm, yeah.
Okay, and obviously the video, the visuals is you sitting in the trap house, somebody's holding a gun, and in my head, like, I hadn't heard anything yet, so I was just like, oh, brother, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
But then I listened to it, and your message, like, that song was deep. So can you talk to us about how you formulated whatever your desired expression or message is?
Yeah. So napalm stands for not a product of my environment. That's the name of the whole tape. You know, so that whole tape was just basically talking about different environmental situations that I've been in or witnessed, or I knew somebody else witnessed. And basically, at the end, I'm just summing it up like, yo, we've been through all this stuff, but you can stand tall and not be a product of your environment, not let your environment define who you are. So with Napalm, that being the first song, that being the intro, I literally told a story of um of a friend that I had, a high school friend, who was he was we kind of he was a smart kid. He was a smart kid, but decided to, if you don't go to college or whatever, they get sucked back into whatever the environment is. So he got into that type of game and ended up going out like that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of time when I write things and I want to depict it so raw and truthful, so you can feel like you're in or you're understanding everything I'm saying. So yeah, that was something I felt like I had to like put out and I had to like write and I had to show people that, hey man, everybody has a story to tell and we're all creative artists one way or the other. And that was just my way of kind of like telling that story and just letting people know.
So in your article on 24 Hip Hop, right? You basically said that you got your DDS and you're unapologetically yourself still. So you're a dentist, and most people think dentists are, I mean, we're buttons up, lab coats, everything. But you
square bears. We're square bears.
Yeah, you could, but you say you're unapologetically you because you incorporate a lot of that into your music.
Yeah.
You are literally Dr. Bbay in your music.
Yeah.
Right. Whenever you have the visual of the guy getting shot in the head to explain what was going on, not being a product of your environment, you're still wearing the lab coat that you wear to work. So talk about incorporating your business, because I mean, you're running a business as a dentist and now you're also a musician and you're incorporating all this stuff in there. Break that down, man.
Yeah, I used to always worry about mixing the two, or worry about somebody might think as me being a professional, being in that type of stuff. And I just had to say to myself, now I'm like, bro, it's so many other people just like you out there, or coming up that's gonna be like you. It's up to you to not sugarcoat anything about who you are and how you live your life. You'll be surprised. They'll be surprised if they see a lot of these doctors' playlists. What they listen to going to work in the morning. And
That is true.
exactly. All I'm just saying, all I'm telling these people, I'm trying to tell them is like, yo, whatever your perception of a professional person is, it's not, that's not it, because people are come from different multi background. People have different cultural background, and people have different environments that they came in, right? But as long as you should understand that people can still be one and the other. You can still be a person who is super smart and educated, getting all these top scores in school, but still go out and go party with your friends and like you were in college or something. Obviously doing it very respectfully. So the way I look at it is like, I don't want to lie to these people. I don't want people to be like, oh, this Dr. Bbay, and then somebody be like, no, Dr. Bbay is like this. No, I want you to know me for who I am. You're gonna love me, you're gonna like me for who I am, or hate me for who I am, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna hope that next kid that's from that area can see that, hey, I don't have to change myself to be where I'm going to be. No, I could still be myself. I don't gotta be all posh about it and stuff just for me to get to where I need to know. So it's all about just being real authentic and not and being comfortable to walk in the room and be like, yeah, this is who I am. And, either like it or leave it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have to be inauthentic to be professional? Or are we redefining what professional is?
It depends on people's definition of professionalism, because everybody has it. I could go in the office, right? And I could be like, I could see a patient and be like, hey, how you doing? And talk to him like in my normal slang. And a doctor would come to me and be like, hey, I don't really like the way that's unprofessional. And when you want to sound like very proper and very, so everybody in this work in the corporate, everybody has their own definition of what professionalism. They did not like me posting a lot of my content, patient content, whether it's surgical extraction, I'm a very content guy. So they didn't like me recording patients. So, everybody has their own definition of what they think professionalism start. In my eyes, if you're following every guideline that you as a doctor, when it comes to the way you treat your patient, the way you handle your office, the way you handle your staff and all that stuff. If you're checking off all the guidelines, everything else is a plus. I don't care how you talk, obviously as long as it's not disrespectful, you know what I'm saying? I don't care. I don't want you to be this fake person because a lot of time you learn that patients gravitate to that person that they feel is very, very real and authentic. Not somebody who's gonna come to them and be like, hey, how you doing? I'm saying all these big words and all. No. And
Talk
that's
about
yeah.
mesial and interproximal, and the patient's like,
Exactly.
oh.
Exactly. And that's why I also was like, yo, I have to also really do this. I owe it to myself and I owe it to the people that's looking at me because when I left, they was like, oh, this dude is done, and then he's opening a practice. Oh, okay, whatever. And once they start seeing that practice gun, they calling me like, hey, acting like they was already, cool and not knowing that I already knew what they've been saying behind my back and all that stuff. So it's like it's basically like a challenge, and I love when people doubt me. I love when people talk shit about me because that makes me want to. Oh, okay, thank you for giving me that extra boost of energy. Let's go. Let's go do it.
So
Right.
you were talking about kids, right? And that's something that I thought about, kind of just looking at your Instagram, looking at everything, right?
Yeah,
When you have a child, when you have a kid that sees you, looks up to you, and so forth, should they be
yeah.
looking up to you as the dentist, the
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Bbay, or should they be looking at you as the entertainer?
Mm-hmm.
Which way should they be looking? Because I mean, you're putting up two different personas here.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't look at either or. They look
Okay.
at me as a person. So
Okay.
everybody that come is they see the dental stuff and then they see the music, or vice versa. They see the music and do the dent. And first thing is curiosity. Okay, is he really a doctor? Is he really a dentist? And then the curiosity start kicking in, and then they start wondering like, yo, how's he doing it? Like, how's he doing it? So I actually have, I have a couple mentees under my wings here in Houston. They're, coming into practice every other day, shadowing me, pushing them to now be a dentist, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously they didn't really know anything about it or they just heard about it. So a lot of time is they just curious as what this whole thing's going on now because they never really seen a doctor and an artist that's really pushing both. And then it's like once they see like, hey, he's all about business, things are working and all that stuff, then they really just kind of want to know like what's going on, want to learn and want to kind of just, hey. So I never really every time I meet somebody, that knows me, is like it's always about like kind of both like, yo, like I feel like now I can chase my dream of being doing this and still be able to draw and paint. I had people tell me that like I wasn't drawing or painting because I was going to school and then when I saw you and I was like, yo, this guy's doing it. And I was like, yo, I should be able to make time to draw, paint, and all that stuff. So I don't think they see either or. I just think they see both and just kind of like everybody try to decipher what they want from it.
Well, I like that message, man, primarily because if you think about what's put out there in the mass media as far as what we need to be as Black men, right? You either got to be very square, very professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very acceptable to the majority. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hell, we even had a president, God bless him, but he had to be perfect and perfect in their eyes to get elected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And we see that going on. And what I like is when you see someone that can be authentic, at the same time be skilled, right? Because you've demonstrated your work,
Yeah.
have all these other interests. Do you feel like, is it the skill that allows people to accept everything else when they look at you as a professional? Do you think it's your charisma? What do
Mm-hmm.
you think is bridging that gap between someone that may look at you and say, okay, I see this and I see this, and I'm trying to put them together?
Mm-hmm.
What do you use to kind of glue those two personas into one?
I think it's the product, you know. So it'll be one thing that I was like, let's say when I was making music, while in dental school and stuff, I was still a student in that, I was still a student in that way. So everybody's like, okay, cool. Then I started making music while I was just working, everybody's cool. I opened up my practice now, I'm making music. So it's is once they looking at the steady progression of Dr. Bbay, right? And anybody with 2 cents knows, in order for you to be an entrepreneur and own an office and have to run the office and still be able to go back in and do put out great music and great content behind it, is you put two and two together. Oh, this guy's just serious about what the hell he's doing. He's just serious. Like at this point, you can't even tell me nothing as far as like talking about where I'm going in life and stuff. So I feel like it's just the product of like what people are seeing. People, if you go and look at my dental stuff, everything is very good content. Very good quality, professional. If you go take a look at it, and people are like, oh, he a rapper. Let's go look at his reviews. Go look at my reviews, 5-star reviews. Everything. It's patients from all walks of life. Saying this about this one person, and some of those patients know who I am. Some of the patients saw me from TikTok doing my music or whatever. So I feel like I tell people all the time, no matter, we are a minority, so we always gonna get initially the short end of the stick. We're gonna always be talked about the most, or be guarded as far as them approaching us. But when the product is good, and when you're actually out there doing the best that you can, and making sure you're putting out the best product, you treating everybody right, you're handling things the right way, everything is gonna finally click in. You know what I'm saying? Because when I'm at right now, I was like in a white predominant area. You know what I'm saying? As far as my practice, I didn't really choose to be exact in the location, but like the mapping that we did just told us to go there. Ain't no white women, white old man, none of them wanted to come to me. I'll tell you the truth. They'll call, be like, is so and so still here? Oh no, it's this doctor. Oh, he's too young. Oh, what I'm saying, and sometimes some of them don't want to tell you, your race or whatever. But I was like, here, don't worry, be patient. We're gonna continue to put this product. And then after a while of me doing so good and putting all this content, and people actually seeing what I'm about, then they don't have no issues coming out. So it's like no matter what it is once you show that you could do whatever, you could back up whatever you're doing, or you can produce great quality product, content, whatever, then everybody's gonna have to fall in line. Everybody's gonna have to fall in line.
So do you think that your content, and I mean, I'm gonna put it out there right now, 26,000 followers is what you have on Instagram, and that's just Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe that your content and all the stuff that you're doing is drawing in specific people, or do you think it's actually opening up to everybody? And you can be honest here.
I would say it's open up to everybody.
Okay.
But you also gotta understand that I put out a plethora of different types of content, right?
Okay.
So and I guess, and a lot of people only see like Facebook, or YouTube, or what, I'm sorry, or Instagram, whatever. But it's 5 different platforms. It's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all these platforms that I'm hitting with my content or whatever. And sometimes I'm getting more of this person. But what I will say is everything that I do as far as content is calculated. So for instance, I'm opening up my office, right? Your first year, you're not gonna do real good, right? They tell you that you're not gonna do real good. Be happy if you break even or whatever. Me, I was like, in this day and age, the only way for you to how do I say it? The only way for you to kind of like break that, the niche, or try to do something more than what's expected, is through content. Right. So I said, okay, cool. Like, I'm not gonna sit my butt here and wait for these patients to come to me. I'm gonna go start doing some specific content, and content tailored to cosmetic dentistry. I'm not a cosmetic dentist. I tell people that I'm a general dentist. What I'm saying, that happens to like cosmetic dentistry. So I say, okay, cool. How can I be very smart to where I don't have to fall into this niche of like, I'm gonna go be happy if I break even first year. So I was like, okay, cool. How much everybody charging for a veneer? What, that 1,500 per tooth, $10,000 per tooth? I say, you know what? I'm gonna charge you half of it. You know what I'm saying? Put that content bundle together, put it out on Facebook, if you put it out on Facebook, it allows you to cross promote it on Instagram. It allows you to save money, so you spend it on 2 platforms. So man, I would tell you, like, I probably spent like maybe, right now maybe like 50 grand on Facebook content and promotion and all. But revenue wise, that's like about 400 something thousand dollars in revenue. So from that, and that's just from me not falling into the pits of, okay, I'm a dentist, so I have to do this a certain type of way. I was like, no, I need money now. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with not making 10K profit or 7K profit. I could take the 3-4K because that's gonna add up.
Right.
And then by the time I done built all this content up and everything, and I done had all these people that came in, now I can decide to say, oh, I'm gonna charge this and stuff. Now I could be like, okay, cool. Now, so it's like I always look for ways to want to do things differently to speed things up. So I mean, I don't want to get into numbers and stuff, but
no, you don't have to.
Yeah, the first year we did pretty well as far as like a new office for sure. So
you graduated in what year?
2020.
So you was a COVID baby as far as dentistry goes, right? And within a couple years, you're owning a practice.
Yeah.
You're doing the content, you're doing the music.
Yes, sir.
And this is where we're going to ask some real questions. And I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I see you doing some advanced stuff on Instagram. Full mouth reconstructions, laser gingivectomies, and so forth.
Yes, sir.
How did you fit in the extra training to be able to get to the point? Because a lot of people that don't know dentistry know that you don't go from graduating and, if you even did anything in the year of COVID with everything being shut down, to now you're doing full mouth rehabs. What did that training look like for you?
Man, it goes back to the mindset. A lot of times the beginning of everything is wisdom and the end of everything is fear. You feel me? So a lot of time people are fearful with attacking these big cases and stuff. I told Dr. Aka, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, we go back to when I was working in that space where we were at. I wanted to learn implants. So what I say, hey, Dr. Aka, let me know when next time you're doing implant. I want to watch you.
We did. We did.
So I was always wanting to be, if there was something there, because if there's something that's advanced that I don't know or I can't fathom myself like doing, it kind of like irks as far as like, yo, I need to know, I need to find out, you know what I'm saying? So, and that was the reason why I left the first place to go to the second place, because they allowed me more power to do all the surgery. So there was that company was more where I was at, it was more surgery based office. So that's where I got a lot of my surgery backgrounds, where full mouth extractions, even some cosmetic cases and stuff. But the cosmetic came out from me just doing it. I tell people and some other students, I was like, hey, when you get out, you working in corporate is like a way for you to do everything that you need to do while you have a umbrella around you and people around you that's gonna help you get there. So do everything you want to do. If you want to do full mouth cases, treatment plan them. Try to do them. If you want to do implants, find a way. So all that stuff. So that's kind of what mindset that I had. And then when it came to like the other stuff, I obviously reached out to some people, got connected with some people. So I took courses in Mexico with implants and all that stuff. But everything else is, whatever the laser, whatever, all that is didactic. You learning and you going and applying whatever you're learning. And it's really not rocket science, man. It's just like you applying yourself and you saying, I want to do this. I'm going to learn how to do it and go do it. So that's what I did. I don't fear. If I don't know, I go find somebody who know and ask them how, and then go from there.
So okay, but speaking of rocket science, there are a lot of stuff that are, I show you, you do, right?
Yeah.
A lot of dentists though will tell you that occlusion can be like rocket science.
By the way, that's how you bite. I want people that's listening that's not dentists to understand what Dr. Leroy just said.
Right.
So occlusion is basically how your teeth come together.
Right. And what is your background, and are you just still continuously, seeking learning when it comes to occlusion, which often can come back to bite you 3 to 5 years after you do whatever treatment you do?
Yeah. So obviously, like I said, I'm always learning, where it might be, I'm always learning. But I will say I had a lot of people ask me that question, like, yo, Doc, you doing all this full mouth places. How do you go about balancing occlusion and stuff? And I would say, man, I have a real great team as far as the people that I work with as far as the labs. As far as like my process, you know, doing everything digitally and stuff. So I have not yet had that issue as far as somebody coming and then, like I say, it could be on something 5 years later, but I have not yet had that issue. I just like I said, I just do everything that I know from step by step, from prep and all that stuff, and then let the lab and the head lab techs handle that, and they'll let me know, be like, hey doc. And that's also a lot of problem. People don't have great communication with their lab, right? So the lab would be like, hey, you know, doc, the occlusion is pretty high over here. I need, you know, we're gonna need to do this. Okay, cool. Send me a reduction coping. Tell me how much I need to reduce it to, you know. So me and the lab have that relationship to where that we're very, you know, we have, there's so many cases together, so we know how things should operate and how people should occlude in their normal bite. And that also goes back to taking the initial scans, seeing the original bite, and try to always try to mimic. If it's an ideal bite, always try to mimic it. But if it's just like a crazy bite or whatever, we're just gonna try to put you in the best bite possible. So the patients know this and everything. So I haven't. Thank God, I haven't run into that issue yet. But
yeah, we'll knock some wood. We're knocking some wood for you, bro.
yeah, yeah.
For you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my last question. But I want to kind of ask this question overall, right? I've realized the more I do this podcast, the more I realize that dentists use dentistry so that they can do other stuff, so that they can make money doing other stuff, right? For example, a lot of dentists will get paid well, right? Because dentistry is a very well-paying field, so that they can invest their money in houses, in investments like stocks and other factors. They can get a farm that, you know, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
Are you using dentistry to basically invest in your music career so that the music career kind of takes off, and then you sit back and say, you know what, I'm done with dentistry, right? Just like with anything, just like with anyone. I'm hoping, I'll speak for myself, I'm hoping that dentistry allows me to retire early so I can go sit on a beach, right, with my investment. That's what I'm hoping. So are you hoping that dentistry allows you to then get into the you know, the music field so that you can leave dentistry behind?
Yeah, I'm doing everything to make sure I'm not gonna be working in dentistry for too long. One is, you know, I was using dentistry before. I was using dentistry for fun, like you said, stocks or cryptos or whatever, you know. That's what I've been doing. But living this back to what you said, you hit it on the head. The whole goal for me to, you know, go into this entrepreneurship type route was also to be able to finance my dream, which is music. So the goal is, you know, help finance the music, allow the music to take off to where I'm now earning income to where I'm okay, and then, you know, do full throttle the music, but still keep the business aspect, you know, whether it's passing on the business to somebody, you know, colleague of mine or whatever, or selling it to somebody within my circle, things like that. But the whole goal of dentistry is not to be here slaving forever, because everybody know that this job is very stressful too. Like, you know, the high turnover rate, everything, you know, and then you being an entrepreneur by yourself, going against corporate all the time, it could be done for sure, but it's gonna be a time where you got 4 or 5 babies, you know what I'm saying, running around the house, and you still got to do all this work. Like, no. So the whole goal is, I tell all dentists, is like, you want to take all the money you get, the profits you get, that you can choose and invest it, whether you're investing that into stocks or whatever, because you don't want to be 60, 70 years old and still trying to bend over and trying to do class 2 fillings and stuff. Like, you know, it's dead.
Well, now I feel bad. So am I the only one that really loves dentistry?
Well,
look,
everyone's like, I'm just using this until I can slide out.
Listen, don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't lie. No,
yeah,
you had 2 offices that you sold and exited out of that too, right?
And what am I doing now?
Well,
dentistry.
Yes, but I mean, do you think you're going to be doing dentistry when you're 90? No, more than likely you want to cut back, right?
Well, if I'm not doing it, I'm teaching it.
Right, but again, teaching and doing are very different, right?
Yeah.
You just shifted it to less work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And when we're talking about dentistry, we're talking about the manual work of actually doing dentistry. It's not talking about leaving dentistry as a whole, you know, because let's say if I wasn't doing music, I would have been looking into, like, you know, becoming managing dental offices, you know what I'm saying, putting people on, training them up and doing all that stuff, but not necessarily going in there doing the work day in and day out. So the love for dentistry is always going to be there, and it's always going to be done, you know. But as far as like, you know, the work that goes into doing that and running everything at the same time can be real stressful and leaves you no room to do anything else in life. So then that's like when you know, like, hey, you got to be some type of work-life balance. So
Right.
yeah.
I mean, look at Dr. Horton. You have a lecture series. You have this podcast. You have so far you haven't even done
Just do
dentistry yet.
dentistry,
You haven't even
man.
touched a burr.
Go crazy, man.
So you're doing the same thing. It's just
I can see that. I can see
Different.
that.
you know.
Let me ask you a question, man, because I really want to give a parting, I guess, experience of yours that I had in a similar position. When you did you have to get financing to open your office?
Yeah, I had to take out a loan.
Okay, so everything that I'm hearing is stuff that motivates me. You had your back against the wall, people that were backing you pulled out. You, like you said, you had to be bold or fold, right? What's it like for you? What was it like for you when you're staring at that piece of paper and you're seeing numbers you're not used to?
Yeah.
You might be talking 3, 4, 5 plus 100,000, if not more, that you got to sign on the dotted line that you're going to be responsible for.
Yeah.
What was that feeling like then? And what's it like now that you're accustomed to the business? Those numbers are a little bit more normalized to you. But what was that feeling when you had to put pen to paper to make that commitment?
Yeah. And I mean, it's very, uh, it's very different. You know, I won't say I was scared because I had got over the fear when I had to sign that lease and pay that big chunk of down payment. That's when I knew stuff was real. But it's definitely different, man, because you're looking at you coming out of school with already in debt, you know, and not all the thoughts that goes up in your head is like, yo, what if I can never pay this back? What if my office never work? What if this doesn't work out? Now I'm gonna owe, you know, the bank, and you know, so it's just so much thoughts of negativity, and that's why I made sure that I positively affirmed a lot of stuff before I went into that by reading books, by you know, talking to people who own offices, by, you know, kind of picking people brains. So I got to a point where, hey, it's gonna be a lot of stuff that you're not gonna know that might scare you. But look, you read all this stuff, you spoke with someone, so if they could do it, you could do it, right? So at first it was crazy, it was scary, you know what I'm saying? But at the time I was like, yo, I just need to get this thing started. I need to go. I'm gonna figure everything else later. Now it's like, you know, you're accustomed to those large numbers, you know, you hear, you know, people like, oh, how much do you spend a month on overhead? What? You know, like it's crazy. You know, I would have said that was crazy.
Yeah.
But also being in the business also taught me how delusional we are as employees when we as dental employees, because me as a dental employee, I could come out thinking I'm saying I need to make 200K. You know, we think doing one crown and two fillings a day is a lot of production. You know what I'm saying? You know, we just have this head that all we're seeing is what we're doing and what is the production, but we're never seeing the back end stuff. We're never seeing everything that's going through. We never see how much they gotta take off to do it. So that opened my eyes, and you know, in a different way, like, yo, I was bugging thinking I was gonna get 250K coming out of dental school. And I ain't how to do a crown prep in less than 30 minutes, you know, it's like that. So but you know, now is very normal to deal with those numbers and stuff compared to what it was initially. But yeah, it goes back to a lot. You're not gonna know. I tell people, you're not gonna know. You're not gonna be for sure. But if your will is greater than any other thing, you're gonna find a way to make that shit happen. So that's how I kind of like look at it and just grab the bull by the horn.
Dr. Bbay, please tell us where we can find you, social media wise or whatever it may be, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah, you can find me on the main page is Instagram, so it's at Dr. B_Bay. And through there you could kind of find all my socials. So I have my link in bio. You just click there. It has everything else from my YouTube page to you know, my dental page and all that stuff. So you could definitely find everything from my Instagram. Just go on Dr. Dr.B_Bay, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking your time on both avenues.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
You know,
I feel like I was in Uncle Shay room, you know.
Well, listen, man, we can't end without giving you your flowers, man. And I think I also want to thank Walt, because having this platform, one thing that talking to our people has really solidified for me is how extraordinary our people are and the talent that exists. And even talking to you just in this hour, both me and Walt can tell how extraordinary you are. And I've never met you before. Walt's met you before. And we see a lot of successful, mediocre people. So that's how I have no doubt you're going to go above and beyond in any field you put your mind to, based on everything I've heard, because I've seen mediocre people get success.
Yes, sir.
You're destined for the stars, my man. So I want to give you your flowers on that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. You know, I mean, the only thing we didn't talk about was Steve Harvey stealing jokes, but we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll start blasting dentists soon. You know?
Right. Exactly. No, but honestly, man, hey, listen, honestly, thank you so much for taking the time. We definitely know how busy you are. Thank you for taking the time to just come talk to us, man. Really appreciate it. And getting to show everybody that there are different avenues and different dentists that are doing different things, and they're doing it well. So
yes, sir. I appreciate the time, man. You know, I'm always glad to jump on anytime and just kind of also have everybody tell their story. Somebody else can be looking at this and just feel inspired or feel get that extra push that they needed to go do what they do. But before we go, I had a new single drop today, guys. It's called Ginger. If you like Afro beats, that's something that everybody loves, you know. So just go ahead and tap in. It's called Ginger. It's all platforms. That's Ginja. Okay.
You see how you spell that differently? Yeah. That's that Afro beats. That's that Nigerian throwback.
No, if you know, you know.
Oh man. All right. Thank you, man. Enjoy.
All right. Next one, okay?
Yes, sir. Peace.
Take care, man.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Truth Be Told. The opinions on this episode are just that, our opinions. Please consult your dental professional before taking any action with your dental health. If you have any questions about anything you heard on this episode, please contact us at Real Dentist with an S. That's REAL Dentist with an S at gmail.com. We would be very happy to return any message that we receive because we love the communication that we have with our listeners.